Hi guys, welcome back to Red Dog Gaming, where today we are bringing you an absolutely epic 3v3 Napoleon Total War online battle on the map of Ligny. Now the rules for this bout were max 4 lights and 2 artillery. However, we really didn't bring much artillery on our side. I am fighting with Batu on one side and Karl von Clausewitz on the other, against an unfortunate coalition of French and Austrians, but it did come right down to the wire. It was a close run thing. Now we do have the game paused because some of you eagle-eyed viewers might have seen these Spanish troops up in the corner over there. So we will have to pause it while we go through these army compositions. So first things first, let's go through Karl, who was fighting as the Prussians. Now Karl has brought 7 of the standard musketeers, the Prussian musketeers, 3 of the Silesian Schutzen, some fantastic rifle troops there. Look at those lovely green jackets that they wear. 2 of the excellent elite foot guards, if we can find them in there. There they are, ready to fight the battle, boys, ready to fight the battle. And on top of that, he has brought 6, a whole 6 of these lancers. Very strong cavalry on the charge, guys. Not so strong once they're in the melee, but their charge is absolutely devastating. Now here I am in the center, and I have brought 4 units of Swiss foot, standard French army composition. The lovely Swiss foot in their red coats. 3 units of the chasseurs, I believe. 3, or is it 4? I believe it's 3. 2 units of the glorious Polish Legion ready to go. Look at that. The blue, the navy blue and yellow. Absolutely amazing. Looking fantastic. 1 old guard, 1 fantastic old guard unit. 1 young guard. And 1 unit that you don't really see very often in the online battles. It's the Guard Seaman, and another amazing elite unit. On top of that, I've brought 4 units of the Chasseur à Cheval and 2 units of the 6-inch howitzer. Notice that Prussia didn't bring any artillery, so I brought artillery instead. Oh, is it 3? I think it's 3 units of the Chasseur à Cheval, actually. Yes, I believe 3. And then we have Batu over here with Spain, a very unconventional choice for online battles, of course. But he has brought 9 of the standard fusiliers, the Spanish fusiliers. Brown pants and blue pants. Brown pants and blue pants. That is the Spanish fusiliers there for you. 4 units of the glorious Lanceros, the Spanish Lancer cavalry. Look at these guys. Brown as well. I'm not sure I like the the aesthetic of these Spanish boys compared to the gaudiness of some of the others. And then, of course, he has over here 3 of the different irregular sort of Spanish troops. He's got the Cazador Voluntarios de Madrid. I believe they are a light cavalry hussar sort of regiment. He's got Lanceros de Castilla, another Lancer regiment. And he has the Hussars de Vulpeñas, which is a hussar regiment. And these guys are set up behind this French army. So first things first, though, we'll have a look at the Austrian army facing Batu. And it has 4 Landschutzen, the rifle troops of the Austrian army. He has brought 5 German Fusiliers, glorious white coats. I can assume that these guys got very dirty when they marched into battle, and they were not white by the time they reached the battlefield. 1 unit of the 47th Czech Regiment. Look at them, just complete white apart from the gold buttons. He has 1 of the Archduke Charles Regiment. These guys are actually brown and blue. And he has the 1st Regiment of the Emperor's Own. There's not much gaudiness in the Austrian uniforms, as you can tell. On top of that, he's got 4 units of the Uhlans, the Austrian Lancer Regiment, and 1 unit of Archduke Ferdinand Cuirassiers. Very strong, heavy cavalry unit. And with 2 units of 6-pounder foot artillery. And then we have the French player I was facing in the middle, and he has 3 units of the National Guard. Again, a unit you really don't see very often in the online multiplayer. He has 5 Fusiliers, so 5 just standard Fusiliers of line. On top of that, he's got 1 Grenadier Regiment. Again, another weird unit you don't really see in online. A Young Guard and an Old Guard. Here they are, the Young Guard and the Old Guard. And only 1 unit. Where's the Old Guard? There they are. Glorious Old Guard. And 1 unit of the Chasseur, unless any of them are hiding in these trees, which I don't believe they are. Maybe they are. Actually, I think he did have a couple more Chasseurs, but it's not too important. 1 unit of the Dragoons and 2 units of the Chevaulegers Lancers. So lots of Lancers out on the battlefield today, guys. And on top of that, he's got an Artillery à Cheval, a good horse artillery unit, and a 6-pounder foot artillery. Now, facing Karl out on the corner over here, we have maybe another slightly weird online choice. So an Artillery à Pied, 2 Artillery à Pied, which is another weird online choice. How many Chasseurs does he have? He has 3 units of Chasseurs that we can see, but he might have more hidden in these trees. 3 of the glorious Polish Legion that we talked about before. Look at those boys. 1 unit of the Brave Infantry Regiment, the 18th Regiment of the Brave, and 2 units of the strong Old Guard. Everyone in this battle, guys, is led by general staff. There is no unique generals, and of course he has a Polish Guard Lancer as well. But as you can see, this battle is going to start with a boom. I'm going to move my cavalry and my elite troops across, and we'll just slow it down just for a second because it gets off to a huge quick start. And as you can see, Austria's already moving to take their place over here. Spain is just standing still because they're already microing their troops over here. He's bringing these troops in to block this exit, so this guy can't get a position. And I have to assume this guy was probably maybe a newer player to online, but he is spreading his troops out nicely, so I'm not too sure about that because he had his troops like facing this way compared to facing this way, where he could have just completely blocked off this massive assault by Prussia that comes through the middle. On top of that, Batu is bringing his beautiful Spanish cavalry into the action, destroying the cannons straight away, and he has hardly even reacted, this poor French player, and we are going to clean him up very quickly. But don't worry, guys, it does not end so easily. This Austrian player is a really good player, and he does some extremely good moves. And one of the things that I was really looking forward to recording this video was seeing what went on over here, because I sent my troops over this way, so I was predominantly focused on the left-hand side of the battle, and I didn't really get a chance to see the right-hand side until after we've moved around the flank. But as you can see, Karl is sending his Prussian Lancers in, ready to kill this Artillery à Pied, try and get rid of them so he has no recourse to bring canister shot out. And you can see these Lancers, these Spanish cavalry really doing absolute havoc. This Old Guard starting to fall, the Chasseurs falling, he does have more than 1 unit of Chasseurs. He has another one here as well, but they've fallen pretty much, and he's not even moved his Guard Lancers in the way. And of course he has these Spanish troops at the back here preventing any escape. The only escape route he's got is across this bridge, and if I was him, I would make haste to get across that bridge straight away because he is fully isolated from his troops. And as you can see here, the Spanish troops marching across the bridge bravely into the face of the Austrians, and the Austrians bringing some cavalry to bear upon the Spanish troops. Now he has to try and get his cavalry into those Uhlans as quick as possible, because if the cavalry get in here, you can't form square while on a bridge, and it's really hard to deal with them. But of course, Austrian cavalry is generally better than the Spanish cavalry, so that is going to be a tough do. Now that Spanish cavalry that was over here, look at that Old Guard, more than half of its units gone. That is invaluable. This one's still standing strong, but the cavalry that was over here was pretty much, you know, did what's best for it. Did a fantastic job. And this is another reason why you think this may have been a new player. He's got his Chasseurs out front. We'll put it on normal speed now. He's got his Chasseurs out front, but not in skirmish formation. And Karl just goes for the kill, bringing his Prussian infantry into the fight as quick as possible. While over here, We have the mass cavalry battle that is going on. And at this point, Batu should maybe have tried to retreat, but once you've committed in this sort of situation, you've got to just commit. Like, there's not much else you can do. But it was a big fight over here for the control of the bridge. Massive fight. Massive fight. And you can see in the middle, my whole job in this battle was just to hold the middle. Hold these guys. Make sure that they're not going to try and cross the river and split our army in two. And I thought I could do it with a relatively small force. So we've only got sort of the Swiss foot and the Polish Legion out here with the chasseurs. Just, you know, holding while I move my cavalry and my elite troops around this side to help the Prussians. And as you can see, the Prussian cavalry wreaking havoc upon the French lines right now. And even though these guys got into the fight later and were getting shot as they marched up, you can see they're pretty healthy and doing some serious damage to those French lines. On top of that, he is completely cut off now. If he wants to go over that bridge, he'll have to push through, which at this point, with all these troops coming through, it's just not going to happen. My cavalry in position at the back as well. And over here you can see the results of the Austrian-Spanish cavalry battle. And it looks like the Austrians have won out completely. Very strong from the Austrians. Strong move to go for that. And this Austrian player, as you can see, was actually a very decent player. Excuse me. Doing exactly the right thing. Even setting up like this. I don't think I've ever seen this set up in a multiplayer. Not this neat and controlled anyway. But as you can see, the Spanish are now set up and ready to fire. Ready to go. Over here, we have nothing much. It's just a standard stalemate in the middle. The problem was these chasseurs and these chasseurs didn't want to fire. And I didn't notice for ages that they weren't firing because I was focused over here. But they weren't firing for absolutely ages. But do note, guys, if you ever get confused as to which French, whether it's my French or their French, they have the little red circle above the flags. I have the little blue circle. But look at this. The foot guards going in, fighting that square, firing into it. And at this point, I believe I decided it was time. Excuse me again. It was time to bring the chasseurs à cheval into the action. We were pushing through this French army very quickly, doing some serious damage. At this point, I decided to try and target some of these buildings because I didn't want him to use the buildings as just castles, basically, to stop my troops from coming. He did have his artillery set up on this hill. It's a very decent spot for artillery, but I knew it was a bit too far away for canister shot, so if I'm going to cross this river, he is not going to get canister shot into me. He is going to be fine. So I don't really need to target these guys, and seeing as I'm not in any of the buildings, he is not really any threat to me right now at all. And of course, we still have it on slow motion because so much is going on. You can see Batu coming down here, trying to get his lines spread out, trying to get his lines ready to go and try and make a flank around the side. But this Austrian player was playing extremely well. Very good micro, doing some great charges, stopping the troops in their track, and that was fantastic. And Batu is kind of stuck on this side of the river now, so it's all or nothing for him. And which general? I believe we killed the French general over here. And as you can see, bringing my chasseurs à cheval into the action, wreaking havoc on the line so that Karl can push up even further. And he was in full retreat at this point. But even so, we have this unit blocking them off. And although they're getting shot by the old guard and dying quite considerably, you know, it's blocked them off for long enough for us to destroy the rest of this army. And I went for his cavalry just to make sure we had no counters in there as well. He's got his chasseurs over here, ready to counter. And while we were doing that, I decided it was time to try and push him in the side, just see what he did, because we've got this area soaked up and ready to go already. So I brought all my good troops across, my young guard, my old guard, and my guard seamen, ready to fight some of these guys and shoot them in the side. Meanwhile, Batu has managed to get his lines into the battle, firing into the enemy, It's been a tough old do, a very tough old do, and even using his general staff, the Austrian player, to try and bring some of these Spanish troops down to great effect, to be honest, to great effect. And another thing that I didn't notice over here was he turned his Landschutzen around and started firing into my Polish Legion, and I didn't notice that. So he lost a Polish Legion for free. Didn't even get to fire a shot. The poor Polish Legion left out in the fire by their commander, unfortunately. As you can see, wreaking havoc over here, killing the Polish Guard Lancers. There's my chasseurs ready to go. They've taken some damage, but they're still in decent health, and Karl is bringing this marauding army up, and you can see these poor Polish Lancers dying in the chaos over there. But here they are, bringing my cavalry forward. And is that an enemy chasseur à cheval? There's definitely an enemy cavalry regiment in there, right? And you can see this poor old guard stuck in here, unknowing of what to do. And we were just charging them down. And you can see I brought my young guard up here to try and take some pot shots at his cavalry. But while I did that, I then moved over to deal with the cavalry over here. And I unfortunately forgot. I just got them just too late to press square formation. So that was a bit unfortunate, but we are going to bring the old guard forward to deal with that cavalry. So again, another micro error by me, but luckily I still have a pretty full army across here, and I've eventually realized that these guys weren't shooting, so they're shooting now. This Polish Legion was far enough away for the Landschutzen to not kill them, but you can see Batu is completely surrounded on this side now, unfortunately. Very bold move going across the river, and he got there. He's damaged the Austrian army. Will it be enough though for later for us to defeat him eventually? Defeat that Austrian army eventually. So Batu's general was killed at that point. You can see one of my chasseurs. I don't believe. Oh, that is a great shot. That is the thumbnail right there, isn't it? Look at that. I hope it is. Anyway, we'll see. Might not be. But with that, we did destroy most of his cavalry. He brought his infantry across to deal with them. And at this point, this French player was so focused on just stalemating me across the river that he didn't even really react to this until now, which is when he should have reacted to it, like was a lot earlier. But as you can see, the Austrian army has done a good, decent job across this side of, you know, controlling this side of the battlefield. So we are going to have to contend with that very heavily later on. But the focus switches across to this side. We've got the guard seamen going ham on this young guard. And in here you can see only has some fusiliers. This old guard, 94 troops, but where are they? They must be in the building. Let's have a look. Yeah. That's old guard, right? Some of the old guard are in the building still. At this point I was focusing down this building to try and get rid of the scourge that was in the building. Our French turncoat army across here. And as you can see, we brought plenty of troops to the battle. Brought them up the ramp. I brought my old guard ready to fire up here. And let's watch them fire. Ready, men! Fire! Look at that. And they march forward, ready to fire another volley. And at this point, we knew we had to just surround this French army and then face the Austrians, because we could see they were coming. As you can see, they are coming through this way. They do have damaged troops, but a lot of them still have pretty decent numbers and some elite troops. Their skirmishers haven't even died yet. Haven't even really taken any damage yet. But as you can see, I brought my chasseurs à cheval to destroy the Austrian cavalry, to destroy the Austrian artillery, because I didn't want to be crossing that river into cannon fire. And with that, we decide it's time to move across and get away from this Austrian army and then circle the rest of this French army. As you can see, Karl is bringing his musketeers around to try and encircle these guys. If I was him, I would have moved this cannon backwards and probably retreated to a line back here or something, but with us coming across this river, and we didn't come across this bridge, of course. We wanted to come across this one because it's open. You know, we we were just encircling him at this point. But yes, all going well. Fantastic at this point. But you are going to see that this Austrian player is a very decent player. And I sent my chasseurs in to try and kill these guys. I probably shouldn't have sent them in though. There was too little of them and they really didn't do much damage. They really struggled to do any damage whatsoever, to be honest. But what it allowed was it allowed them not to be shooting at my troops while they crossed the river, so that I could get them in position. And you can see they start to run. And here comes Karl with his musketeers, ready to fight these last few units of fusiliers and this grenadier of the line. A fantastic unit. Very nice, very nice. And while he's doing that, he's bringing his Silesian Schutzen up. These really haven't seen much action because the action over here was so fast and brutal. As you can see, look at the fields of dead over here. That they really haven't seen much action, but they will come into play later on, definitely. And as you can see, the French troops over here really don't know what's going on, how they're going to deal with it. But he does have a lot of troops in here, as you can see. Mainly National Guard, but it's still a decent amount of troops in here. And you can see the Austrian player bringing his Landschutzen up behind, as well as his elite regiments over here to try and pound the back of my Swiss foot. And we still do have some units over here, but at this point, really, they were just holding these guys in the building. As soon as they left the building, I was going to bring them across. This Guard Seaman still holding this position here to make sure they can't escape out this way. And the Prussians grounding these troops into oblivion. These poor grenadiers of the line, nearly fully surrounded by musket fire, getting shot to shreds. And at this point, we were actually starting to run out of ammo, both our armies. A lot of our troops had run out of ammo, which was a really tough gig. At this point, you can see the Austrians coming across this way, and some of their troops coming around this way to try and deal with my artillery. And at that point, I knew my artillery was doomed. So we just abandoned it and focused on what was important, which was the troops down here. And I'm glad we managed to get a 61% on the building so that they could leave, and a 55 on this one, just so that it forced them to leave. Otherwise, it would have been a really tough gig getting them out of those buildings. And you can see, at this point, we ourselves are kind of getting turned again by the Austrians. We ourselves are kind of getting slightly surrounded by the Austrians. They're over here. They're over here. Both directions we're getting shot from. Top of that, they're coming through the village. But instead of going for my Swiss foot that were out here, he decided to try and push me on this flank here, which was probably the right decision, the best decision. Because then his troops would have been not completely separated. And he brought them across and then I think he decided to run them back, but I'm not quite sure, or to try and set up over here. And with these German Fusiliers on my flank, I decided it was time to maybe head back a little bit and try and deal with these guys slightly differently with the Prussians in support. And as you can see, he has brought a lot of his troops out of the buildings now, but he still has a lot of troops. And that's the thing. He does not have little amount of troops. It looks like he doesn't have many, but he actually has quite a few. And with this Swiss foot, we are going to go and stand behind him and start shooting him in the back. And as you can see, what seemed like a pretty straightforward battle has turned into something that seems a lot less advantageous to us right now. You know, a lot of our troops were running out of ammunition, so we had to rely on melee later on, definitely. And they still have a decent-sized army here, a very decent-sized army. So we still had trouble getting rid of these guys. You can see he still has Old Guard down there. Watch these guys firing into the distance. And I was up here ready to fight these elite regiments, the Emperor's Own Archduke Charles Legion, but they were quite damaged at this point. We've done some serious damage to them, but as you can see, my troops were not in the best position. Couldn't really fire over that mound. It was only these guys down here that maybe had a better shot. But we did have the chasseurs up here that were doing some decent damage. But it's kind of flipped completely. The side we started on, they're now on. And the side we started on, we're on their side now. So completely flipped the battlefield. I brought this Swiss foot up here to deal with some of these damaged German Fusiliers and placed one of them in the building just to stop these guys linking up backwards with these other guys. And I brought my Guard Seamen through. They'd run out of ammunition at this point to do some melee. Let's go, boys. Let's watch this. Charge, boys. Charge. Look at him with his big sword. Let's go. Charging into these Fusiliers of the line here, and they are very good in melee, the Guard Seamen. One of the best melee sort of infantry units. So they did very well in melee there. And as you can see, he brought his 47th regiment of 47th Czech regiment in, but the Polish Legion are going to stand strong and fire as quickly as they can before the enemy charges, doing some decent damage there. And I noticed that we were behind this hill, so we weren't really being very effective either side. And on top of that, I knew that I could move my troops up here without really worrying too much about getting shot. So that was another decent thing. Wow, look at this. Look at the smoke and the smoke in the battlefield. Look at the Old Guard. So we brought the Old Guard, and where's the other one? The Guard Seamen. The Guard Seamen did their job, but then I thought that they'd just be fighting on, but they just stood there for a little bit. But I do get them back into the fight soon. And as you can see, we smashed that 47th Czech regiment backwards. And we're going to advance over the hill and put an end to this Austrian incursion into our territory. And it was just a battle of lines at this point. Just a battle of lines. And there was not that many lines left. But I did bring my Swiss foot up here as well to try and fight them. Try and do some real damage. But as you can see, he still has his Landschutzen, which were doing a real nuisance upon us. This German Fusilier regiment has not even seen any fighting, really. But we are in a much better position to shoot him now. And I just left these two regiments here to guard against the possibility of the Landschutzen coming across and doing any more damage. But there the Guard Seamen go, fighting away. Well done, boys. Keep it up. Nice one, boys. Fight them. Fight Guard Seamen versus Old Guard. The battle we always wanted to see. Fantastic. And Old Guard in the background as well, watching on at their brothers getting shot and stabbed. People they fought with before. But you can see this Swiss foot here, ready to shoot into the enemy. But I saw that their general staff was coming up behind us, so I had to keep turning them, which was a bit annoying. So he was definitely using his general to very good effect. My general's up there as well. And as you can see, we really don't have that much left at all. But he does something here which is very clever of him, doing this fast retreat. But luckily I had my Swiss foot on this side still to do some damage if they wanted to. I was going to put them in the building and then thought it was probably not a great idea. So we'll just bring them here to shoot into the side of these guys and see what they do. But as you can see, Karl brings his Prussian units across to do some real damage and try and charge these guys so that they can't escape. They are just German Fusiliers, so they're not elite troops. The elite troops have been killed. So what he really wanted to do was to, you know, bring these two sets of units together, and he would then definitely have a chance, you know. We do still have some decent amount of units left, but most of them are basically run out of ammo at this point. And look at the Guard Seamen turning tail and running for the hills after doing a brilliant performance against them. And he brought his German Fusiliers into this building actually, so I had to bring my Swiss foot in there as well. And as you can see, the last sort of stand, he put his troops in square. The final battle for his troops, and they decide to turn tail and run. What an epic battle it's been, though. What an epic battle it has been. I hope you agree, guys, anyway. I thought it was pretty epic. But as you can see, he still has these 4 units of Landschutzen out here. And this one general staff, which I don't know how he hadn't been killed by then. He got about 5 shots to the head. But yeah, he still does have these Landschutzen, and he has these German Fusiliers. But that is all that remains of the Austrian army now. And here we are, ready to fight, ready to get across. And as you can see, Karl is going to charge his general into the back of these tired German Fusiliers. Try to get rid of them. Come on, General. Oof. Sent those 2 guys flying to their deaths. But of course, we still had to contend with these Landschutzen. And we didn't really have any cavalry. So we didn't really have a good way of dealing with them, apart from chasing them with our troops. But I think the Austrian player sort of knew the writing was on the wall at this point, and that we had to that he was going to lose no matter what, really. He's just got Landschutzen left. We've got all these troops. Some of them were coming back, like these German Fusiliers, but they're going to turn tail and run as soon as they realise that my Swiss foot is ready to fire into them. Come on, boys! Get your last volley off. You've done a magnificent job. Whoa, synchronized volley there. Synchronized volley. And you can see they do not want any more of that. Well done, Swiss foot. Doing an excellent job once again. But I have brought, no, Karl has brought his general into the fight here as well. And what are these? Oh, so I sent these 2 regiments around the side to try and cut them off. Try and stop them from, you know, retreating this way or retreating towards these Size Legion Schutzen and overwhelming them. But yeah, Karl is bringing his general into the battle to try and just stop them from firing, really, is the main idea here. So as long as they're not firing, we have the advantage, because we can get close and then fire our volleys into them. But yeah, what an epic battle from all the way over here with the blitz of this army. Look at the fields of dead over here, following it around all the way round the back, fighting the French over here, and then fighting them down on the banks of the river. What an epic battle it was. And of course the Austrians did the complete opposite, from over here through here, fighting Batu, fighting the Spanish, coming across here, back across here to back over here. It was what a crazy battle. And as you can see, I got my general into the battle to try and get rid of these Landschutzen once and for all. Yeah, there they go. The last ones. What an epic battle, guys. Do you agree, Swiss foot? Do you agree? I think they're just very tired. Head down. You can celebrate now, guys. So as you can see, some really, I mean, Karl, very, very good once again. 1,600 kills. But you can see this Austrian player, amazing again. Really, really good. 1,350 kills. And then the other 2, about 800. So very, very decent battle. I just didn't get that many losses. That's mainly because I was, you know, holding the center rather than pushing. But that, you know, helped us in the end because we had enough troops to overwhelm this surviving Austrian army right at the end. So I hope you agreed that that was a pretty epic battle, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. That would be amazing. Please do give it a like. If we can get up to 20 likes on this video, it would be amazing. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you again on the next video.